Hi, my name is Sonia Watkins, and this is my slideshow for my ESL method. So I hope you enjoy it. Here's me presenting right now. So my slideshow is for third graders, and it's called Look at the World Around You by me, Sonia Watkins. So the content area that we're going to be going through today is social studies. We're going to be going through the history. And specifically, the topic that we're going to be going through is geography. So in the images, I put mountains, deserts, and the wetlands. So we're going to be going through some of those. So, during this, we were talking about which ESL method that I would use. And the ESL method that I have decided to use for teaching geography is the communicative language teaching method. And in the next slide, I'll explain why I'm doing that. But the image I wanted to show was different forms of communication with saying hello in different languages. So, the purpose of communicative language teaching is so that you can get an authentic experience, so that way you can actually see the language and actually understand and get the context of it, and then you could communicate it. And then the last thing that I want to reinforce is understand the context. So, with geography, you need to understand the context of what is going on. And so, all of this is like a layered cake of like different things that I want to teach my students in third grade. So, who is this for? This lesson for communicative teaching is beneficial for all the language, for all the levels of proficiency, actually, for beginning, advanced, intermediate, and advanced high proficiency students. So, this lesson is really good if you want to go for different levels because it's a way for the students to be understanding of everything. And you can make it a little more challenging for each student with this lesson, which is why I specifically wanted to pick this lesson. So the materials that I would use for this lesson are paper, pencils, crayons, flashcards, textbooks, and computers. So the paper, just so that way they can write down, pencils, need to write, crayons, one of my scaffolding activities, it requires crayons, flashcards, which is the communicative, where we can see the context and we can understand what homes are in there in the different types of environments, physical environments, textbooks. We can read, look at pictures, understand, and get better with our reading. That's another reason why I wanted to use textbooks. We can read the text and see if we understand the text. Computers, because one of my things is going to be for scaffolding is going to be the students have to look up on Google Earth something. So we'll get into that more. So the content objective is that students will explain the different physical environments around the world and how people adapt to the environment. So in content objective, it's what are we learning? So I want the students to learn the different physical environments and how people adapt to them. That's the two key things that I want the students to take away from this. My teaks are identify and compare how different communities adapt to or modify to the physical environment in which they live, such as deserts, mountains, wetlands, and plains. So that's my teak. My language objective, there are two questions that I want the students to know. And language objective is, can I prove what I have learned? So, my language objective is observe the two images of the physical environments and compare how they are different. So, this is something where I'd have two flashcards, and in groups or individually, I'd be like, hey, explain what's different about this one and explain what's different about this one so we can compare and see the differences. That would be for like beginning and all for all levels as too, but I would want this for the beginning one so that way we can see, okay, what do we understand? And then we can go, okay, how do we group at this point? And then my second question would be, how would you adapt to living in the desert? So just questions to be like, hey, thinking like, how would you adapt after learning this? Can you explain it to me? That's what I want the students to do. So my ELPS is demonstrate an understanding of content area vocabulary when heard during formal and informal classroom interactions by responding with gestures, images, orally, or in writing. So I want them to demonstrate their understanding of the vocabulary like desert, mountains, wetlands, plains. Um, it's showing that they can fluently speak it and they understand it with like images or in writing. So I just want to see, what do they know? So the key language function in this lesson is explain. The reason why I wanted to do explain is because I want this to show the students to show me, hey, do they understand what they are talking about and what are they learning? That is my main goal of this. Can they explain it? Can they like explain it to someone else? Like this image right here, the boy student is explaining to the girl something. I want the students to be able to show that they have an understanding and a mastery to me. That's my goal with this lesson. So additional de language demands is the vocabulary, where the students are going to have to know the different vocab, such as planes, physical environment, climate, um, mountains, deserts, all those other things. They'll need to know all those vocabulary, because if they don't have the vocabulary understanding, they're not going to be able to understand the lesson, which the lesson is how people adapt in those environments, how people live in those certain environments. So they need to understand the whole vernacular of the vocabulary. The visuals would be the maps. So the students need to understand what is happening in the map, like how visually are things, like what's going on in this map, like the mountains and stuff, the rivers, all of that. They need to understand the visual maps. Living situation, they need to understand, okay, a person in this house living in the desert might have more like of a stucco thing on their house, or like more mud, or where it's more brown and stuff like that, to adapt to the desert. Region students need to understand the different type of regions that are in the US and also in the world. So like in my lesson plan, I had something where it was like one of the girls, I just use an example, is from Iran, and one of their things is they have like very brown houses, and they have an open air area where, because it's a desert, that's how they keep it cool during the day. So just like understanding the different type of regions and how people live there. So visual cues. So during my when I'm teaching the lesson, what I would do is I would have these four pictures up. One of the desert, one is of the mountains, one is of the um wet plains, and one is of the wetlands. So what I would do is I would have a picture up that's laminated, and I would say, can you tell me what this picture is? Is it a desert, mountain, plains, or wetlands? And then they would see the homes in each of these places, and I would tell me, say, what are some things that you notice about this that's different from the other two? So that's a way that I could say, okay, what do we notice? And that's how I could see, do they understand vocabulary? Are they understanding, how is their language doing? That's how way we can assess their language from beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. We can understand. So one of the activity, so I have different activities for this thing. So one of the activities for beginning is I would have them color in the different kinds of environments. So I have four different images and pictures up here. The one right here, that I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but the one on the left is the one of the desert. The one next to it is the one of the mountains. The one underneath it is one of the wetlands, and the one next to it is the one of the plains. So I'd have them color it in and just label it. That's beginning. Can see, color it, make the distinction. Intermediate, I would have them draw pictures of houses in deserts, plains, mountains, and wetlands, and they need to look up a picture on their computer. So just draw a picture of the houses. So we could see, okay, we understand what each region is. Now let's look up a house in that region. Let's just draw like a characteristic of it. Basic. Advanced, I was able to go on a website and I put it in my resources in my works cited. And this is just a preview because you have to pay like $30 for it, but I was able to make something. So for advanced, I would have them do geography terms where they would just have to match the correct item. So we could see, okay, they understand their terms, they understand the housing. Let's see, like, do they understand the terms in this at this point? Are they able to like do it by themselves without like having to see images? Can we go further along? Next, in advanced high, I would have them look up on Google Earth the different places on paper and write down what characteristics the place has. So I would have like a sheet of paper saying, look up these places on Google Earth. because clearly they understand language, they understand how to type. So we're like going in and we're going to be like, okay, look at these different places and let's see, write down a characteristic of that place. Is it in the, and there would be like different questions. Is this place in the desert? Is this place, what are the houses like? Just like different questions to engage. And then these are my resources of what I looked up for everything. And then thank you for watching.